And now the last member of the XPOWER family, and probably the most impressive, I think, without a doubt. This particular machinery is our finish dryers, the stand dryers themselves. The technology is so different. It is so aggressive when it comes to giving you a much more complete package. This is almost a weapon system when it comes to being able to finish dogs at a level that heretofore has not been available to the groomer. You're also looking at the units that have probably the greatest sales appeal, especially when we go to professional grooming shows. So sit back, relax a little bit, and let's talk about them. First of all, you'll notice this happens to be the B16, and this is the B18. The B16 itself and the 18 are both made of that same tough ABS material. It has a great deal of flexibility as far as movement. You can see that. They also have a 360-degree nozzle. This does not move unless you move it. Otherwise, air coming through here, this is not going to spin. This, when you place it into position, it stays in position. Very, very important to hands-off operation, which is what a groomer wants with a finish dryer. They want to use both hands free to use their comb and their brushing. And they will typically place it under their arm sometimes, let it follow them around like a puppy dog. This has also, as you can see, it has the ABS material, but it also has the steel tube. This is a spring-assisted stand. So again, just like with our stand mount units, this thing is not going to bust your teeth when she comes up. She's going to come up nice and slow. She's going to stay in the position you want it to be in by simply tightening down. The stand, very durable. Obviously, the feet, the casters here all have 5-place locks. And we normally use them only with a couple down or lock because this doesn't spin. The machine you're looking at only weighs 17 pounds. His brother is 18 pounds. So very, very lightweight. The important part of this machine when it comes to your sales is there are no brushes in there. This is the number one issue. There are no brushes. This is the revolutionary DC motor. A DC motor, simply put, has about a 10,000 hour lifespan. Let me put that in context for you. Remember, we were talking about our force units, and I don't care whose force unit you want to talk about. We had about 2,000 to 2,500 hours of life. With this unit here, you're talking about 10,000 hours of life on this motor. So you can imagine, my gosh. And yet, in the B16, which produces 300 CFM at about 5,200 RPM, this son of a gun right here is only going to use 12 amps of power. That's all it's going to use with everything turned on. That includes its heat element, the anion switch that we have on this machine. All the equipment turned on, it's going to use 12 amps maximum. The nearest competitor is probably in the range of 16, maybe 17 amps. So again, very cost effective to run this particular machine. I alluded to what we do have in control. This is a complete control motor. Otherwise, I can control through a electronic variable speed switch exactly the amount of air I want to put through this. If I want that full 300 CFM, fine, but I can bring it down to probably as low as 120 CFM if I need to. Also, DC motors themselves have no heat. They don't produce heat. So I can give you a temperature that's purely ambient temperature in this room right now, or I can give you the first setting, which is a medium, or I can give you the high heat. So I have a complete control. Now, this will come to play when you start to talk to a professional who's doing perhaps show dogs. It's an extremely important point that I can control that heat and air to that degree. But we also have something that's very unique to the XPOWER brand. This carries on it what's called an anion switch. The anion switch is developed to cut down static electricity. This basically does not allow for a positive charge to be produced by the motor itself. What that means to a groomer, it's very important. On a very static electricity type of day, they do less grooming, they do less brushing, because that hair is not going to be fuzzed up to such a degree that they have to finish brushing at the end of the process. Very, very important that you use that anion switch on those days to get those animals out quicker, and that's the intent. The B16 by far has more CFM put out than anything on the market. You can compare them. You're just not going to get close. It's just such a durable machine. Now the B18, what makes this different? This is a 1/4 horsepower DC. This is a 1/3 horsepower DC. So the 18 is a machine that definitely is a 747, basically ready to happen. This is 380 CFM, around 6,000 plus RPM. Again, you can control all of that with exactly the same equipment that you have on the B16. Again, the overall 18-pound weight has exactly the same stand and features there, but this is made for the person who needs extra heat, because this machine is going to put out about 40% more heat than this particular machine here on its high setting. This heat here, just to give you an idea, is about 130 degrees when it's at maximum. This one is going to go up quite a bit more. So we know we can control it, but we do have that available. And if you were doing a standard poodle at a show, you're going to need that to finish it properly and to get it to compete with the other dogs in that ring. The same thing is true of the difference in the size of this motor. That 1/3 horsepower is putting out 300 CFM. It is really moving. It's really moving. But again, the key to this is to be able to control that. You're controlling it with that variable speed switch. And again, electronic variable speed switches, as we have on our force units as well as this, these are non-contact. These are electronic. They're totally different from what you see in the industry. What does that mean to you and your customer? Failure rate, 0. They just either work or they don't. They just don't have the failure rates you have with contact. Again, by far the most capable piece of equipment in a groomer's repertoire is right here. And if you're out selling or you're out there showing equipment, you will see groomers that don't have stand dryers because they're thinking of what was available to them just a few years ago. They've never seen these dryers. And that's why we sell so many. That's why you do so well at shows. And let me tell you, when you got a machine that will go as long and as maintenance free as these machines, it's amazing. The only real maintenance you have is this right here. There's your filter. It's very easy. Twist it off, rinse it out, and you got it. Guess what? Give you an extra one. So we make sure we do the same thing we do with our force units. We're going to encourage you to make sure you get this. Matter of fact, I encourage my groomers to keep this upright so that they don't leave it off. It's the only thing that we really have a problem with sometimes is leaving this off. Now, the good news is the DC motor has no heat. There's no fire hazard. And it's very safe that way. Again, that's one of the great strengths of ABS. ABS makes it certifiable. This is a worldwide certifiable sale item, UL, CTL, every imaginable type of classification for safety is on this particular machine. And then this is a double. These are all double protected or dual protected internal fusing. That is for heat problems. If it overheats or anything like that, it's just going to shut down. It's never going to catch fire on it or anything like that. And you'll hear that about other dryers. Again, outstanding piece of equipment. Worth every penny they pay for it because it's going to last a long time. You're going to find grooming shops that are going to use these at a much higher rate than they standardly use a finished dryer. Why? It does more. I can run it all day long. It's not going to cost me a lot of money. Now remember, 12 amps, higher heat. When you turn this all the way up, it's going to be about 18 amps. So that's a real big difference. Now thank you for your time today. I really appreciate this.